Viewbotting has been bad on Twitch. It's been bad for a while, let's be honest.
The vast majority of numbers you see on the internet aren't real. The accounts that you interact with, the posts that you see, oftentimes aren't even made by a human being on the other side of the keyboard. The cyberspace is dominated by bots.
That's right.
And unless you've just woken up from a coma, this isn't news to you.
No.
Everybody knows that now.
It's been going on for like 2-3 years now.
Part of cruising the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
That the shit you see is artificially inflated.
If there's an attractive woman that's messaging you, the odds are that that's a bot. Just take that from personal experience.
And it's become a huge yapping point, a massive topic, specifically dead internet theory, and diving even deeper into the minutia of bots, cannonballing into the deep end of the pool, you will find viewbots, a topic that often gets very aggressive and accusatory because it is so prevalent across streams in particular. On Twitch, on YouTube, on Kick.
A lot of liars.
Streamers of all shapes and sizes are often using viewbots to boost their numbers.
Do you want to know why they use viewbots? It's because they work. That's the reason why. People would stop using viewbots if they stopped working.
Not some big conspiracy. It's not deep state propaganda or anything like that. It is a provable, real thing that platforms just don't seem to be taking any real action on at all.
Because they have no incentive to, and they actually have an incentive not to, because it makes the perception of growth, and they can report that to their superiors and say that, look at us, we're getting more users. Even if the users are fake, it's just malicious compliance.
I could right now go live on Twitch openly stating I'm viewbotting it out the wazoo to fucking 20k viewers, and maybe the worst that would happen is I get like a 24-hour suspension from Twitch. They don't care. They made that push like a year ago about getting bots off the platform, but that lasted for what, 2 fucking days? And then they took like a catastrophic...
No, I'll tell y'all what happened. This is what happened. And so you look at Twitch Tracker. So you always just pull up the numbers, right? The numbers are going to tell you what the numbers are. So look at this. Stats, overview. So basically, they did it in, I think it was like April at some point, like April. No, it was like, it was August they did it. So the numbers went down, right? You see like the graph went down. And so, and you can look at the trend here, right? 2024 was at 2.6. Now it's at 1.9. Not a good graph to have. Bad graph. Very bad graph. So that's kind of what happens. Is that they saw the numbers going down and they didn't want to get fired. And so they let people viewbot again. I think that's what happened.
Hit to their overall viewer metrics. And I guess they pumped the brakes because... at the end of the day, and this is something people say a lot, and it is true, those huge numbers are good for Twitch as well to advertisers.
Exactly.
Even if the numbers are fake, even if they know it's botted, phony baloney, fraudulent viewer metrics. It doesn't matter. It makes them more appealing to brands. So it seems like they are very hands-off when it comes to doling out big punishment for view bots. It's not exactly a well-kept secret. It's pretty out there in the open.
Everybody knows.
Tons of streamers view bot.
Yes.
Now, the reason why I'm yapping about it again is because...
here's a good way to tell if people viewbot is that if you only get motion on one platform, you're probably a viewbotter. Like, just in general. So, like, if somebody's getting a lot of attention on Twitch, but their YouTube videos struggle to hit, like, 50, 100K views per video, they're probably viewbotting. It's just that simple. Like, but if you're getting motion everywhere, then you're probably not viewbotting.
Just yesterday, or maybe it was even earlier today, I don't know, time moves in a weird fucking fashion once you hit your 30s. Everything blends together, your bones fucking creak anytime.
Bro, is he that old now? Jesus Christ. Bro, like, falling off. Wow. Imagine being 30.
You walk up or downstairs.
That's
anyway,
bad.
I'll stop bitching and whining about that. I know you're not here to listen to me play a sad song on the world's smallest violin about my deteriorating cartilage. The CEO of Night Media, Reed, came forward with a post out of nowhere saying that it's time to start viewbotting. That's the title of the post, which is a eye-catching title, no doubt. Very seldom will you hear someone in that kind of position just say the quiet part out loud here about success in the streaming space. And make no mistake, Night Media is fucking huge. They are one of the top dogs in the YouTuber streamer agency space.
Yeah,
they are huge in the industry. They represented Mr. Beast for a while. I don't know if they still do, but they have represented and still actively represent massive creators. So it was certainly interesting to see him with a post like this that makes it seem like he's out there saying, everyone's got a Viewbot. We got to open Pandora's box. You're at a disadvantage. Wake the fuck up, samurai. Time to get Viewbots on the horn. But reading the post, it's a little bit different, though ultimately his tone around Viewbots does seem to be somewhat positive. What does it take to cut through all the noise on the internet? If everyone else is botting, why shouldn't you?
Exactly. Bro, like, if you're not cheating and everybody else is cheating, then you're losing.
We used to live in a world where if you made great content, algorithms would find an audience for your videos. Now, creators have to clip farm, pay clippers, and sometimes even Viewbot to have a better chance of capturing more attention and breaking through the noise.
True.
This is especially true on platforms like Twitch, where Viewbotting can surface you on the front page of popular streaming categories. Off rip, this is some turbo doomer shit because it kind of positions...
I know, and that means it's accurate.
...it as like your only option if you're just getting started.
Yeah.
Oh, there used to be a time where if you made great content, you could get found, but those times are way behind us in the shitter now. It's gone. That's a
I do think that there are some cases where people make great content and they get discovered. I think that if you make great content, you'll get discovered. If you make great content and you Viewbot, you'll get discovered faster.
Long forgotten, like the saber-toothed tiger. Now, if you want to cut through the noise, you gotta clip farm, pay clippers, or Lord help us, even Viewbot. You gotta get down and dirty in the pig pen. It's the only way.
Content?
Well, that's
I
not
didn't say that.
True. You can still make great content and get found. It does happen.
Like me.
I think the best example of that is Queso.
I was thinking about myself, but yeah, Queso's good too.
I would be shocked to learn Queso Viewbotted at any point in his life. I don't even think the guy could find a Viewbot website or provider. I genuinely don't think he would even know where to begin with something like that. And he has blown up solely because he makes good content. He cut through the noise. And this is something I've always said, luck is a huge part of it. It is. It just is. But what he is right about is that
I think luck is a part of it, but I don't think it's as big of a part as you would imagine. I think that a lot of the people that are successful because they work hard and make good content. And I think that saying that it's luck is a great cope for people that are not successful to rationalize why they're not successful, because it takes the accountability out of their hands. I think the majority of people that are not successful streamers, if you took me, Charlie, Hassan, XQC, Soda Poppin', and I don't know, the Burnt Peanut, and you put us together and you asked us to come together with why this person isn't successful, I think that we could do it every single time. I think we could do it every single time and figure it out, like pretty much guaranteed every single time. Now, luck makes things faster. And there's always luck that's involved. But that's not the reason why people aren't successful.
Current day and age, there is an alternative that doesn't rely as much on RNG.
Right.
And that is pay to win. You can stand a better chance of standing out in the oversaturation of content creation by paying for Viewbots to float your stream to the top of categories, or pay for Viewbots on other socials where you're spamming clips from your streams so you could boost up numbers on, you know, a wacky moment or something and have it like explode elsewhere because you inflated the numbers through Viewbots. So then people could find your stream and maybe organically grow it that way, but you still Viewbotted in order to boost a clip that led people to the stream. Like
fake it to make it. That's how it is. Fake it to make it, and that's how it is. That's what people do all the time now.
Paths that don't rely as much on luck, because if you just have money to start and just start buying views, it does help put you in front of more eyes. It's something that's very common, especially on Twitter. But at the end of the day, I just don't like this mentality that Reed kind of encapsulates here of, well, everyone else is cheating, so I should too.
Of course. But the people that, the thing is that this is the problem, right? Is that there are plenty of people who are honorable who also lose encounters to people that are not. The reality is that the person who is willing to go farther, try harder, work harder, and take more shortcuts and be more efficient will always outperform the person who doesn't, with all other things being equal, logically, right? And so the problem is that, like Charlie's right, is that it's a sad state of affairs, but it's still the state that we're living in. That's where we're at. That's what's happening.
He's trying to make like a strong argument that everyone else is doing it. Content alone, it could be the most slapping, banging content ever. It's not good enough. It's all about the distribution method now, which is dominated through bots and shit like that. So really, you got to think about this strategy of using bots. I just don't like how he's positioning bots as a strategy instead of...
It's absolutely a strategy, and it's a strategy that Twitch uses themselves. That's why they give people front page, because it increases the amount of viewership. That's why embedding happens. Embedding, front page, and botting are all on the same spectrum of inauthentic, not real viewership. All of the people that are on the front page of Twitch are not meaningfully interacting with that stream in the same way that a dedicated viewer is. All of the people that are seeing a stream through an embed are not meaningfully interacting with that stream in the same way that a real viewer is. And that's the main issue. It's that basically everybody is in on this cynical practice, whether it is advertising agencies, whether it's companies, or, here's the big one, whether it's Twitch themselves.
Calling it what it really is, which is cheating.
It is cheating.
Like, yes, you can gamify the distribution and shit through bots. Everyone fucking knows that. But I just don't think it's something that should be outwardly encouraged. And it's really weird.
Yeah, you shouldn't have it. You shouldn't. Nobody should be botting. Nobody should bot ever. Anybody botting is a bitch. But sometimes bitches win.
The CEO of Night Media, one of the biggest agencies in the space, especially for streamers, is having this kind of viewpoint. Like, his title isn't exactly indicative of his thoughts, because he does say, like, this is a problem, this is an exploit, but he speaks
a huge exploit. It's a massive problem, and it's literal fraud. It's literal fraud, and I guarantee you that if a person gets sued who is viewbotting themselves, who sold their analytics to an audience, or sorry, to a company, that person will lose the lawsuit, because you are fundamentally selling numbers that aren't real. That's true. Like, I think it's undeniably fraud. Like, you're selling something that doesn't exist, and you know it doesn't exist. Fraud, period. Fraud against sponsors and advertisers, it is.
What exists, so you have to use this now. It's like, you really should, like, almost that it's a necessity. And I just don't like that perspective nor that mentality. I just think there's a reason why this topic on viewbots is always so passionate from so many people, because viewbots fucking suck. Nobody likes that.
The reason why it's passionate is because viewbots work and they're effective. That's the reason why. If viewbots didn't work, nobody would care. Nobody would give a shit if there was like some big number next to something. Like if somebody's viewbotting their YouTube videos, nobody would give a shit. But why is it people care about viewbotting Twitch? It's because it matters. That's the real reason.
It is just a completely dog shit norm right now.
Yes.
And I don't think it needs to be even more normalized. But it's not some requirement or anything like that. Reed then goes on to make a mention of advertisers and viewbots. Do advertisers have any way of tracking botted engagement, and why isn't Twitch cracking down on this at all? Those are two really good questions.
The advertisers don't do it because so this is the reason why advertisers don't do it. It's because there are usually one, if not two, different elements, or sorry, different degrees of separation between the company and the streamer. So basically, a company pays an ad agency to develop a ad program, and then that ad program is then sold to a streamer agency, and then that streamer agency delineates that out to individual streamers. So inside of those two middle steps, there are elements of malicious compliance, things like embedding, things like viewbotting. Like, I'll give you a great example. Do you remember the Progressive show that was done with Austin Show, Will Neff, fucking, what do you call it, the Botez sisters, and I think two other people, I don't remember? Well, that was viewbotted. It was viewbotted through embedding. And the agency probably did that. I don't know if they did. I'm not sure about that, but I would assume that they did that. I wouldn't expect Austin or Will to viewbot, but I think that they were, like, it's very obvious they weren't getting 100K viewers. We all know they weren't getting 100K viewers, so how did that happen? That's malicious compliance. So that's another F Extra Life. Well, that's a different topic. But I'm saying, like, that's a recent one that I think all of us remember of that happening in. And I think that very clearly the reason why advertisers don't figure it out is because of that game of telephone. it's hard for them to figure out why is it that our brand didn't connect with this audience. Well, the real answer is that the audience didn't exist, but they don't know that because it's through so many different filters.
The answer to do advertisers have a way of tracking botted engagement is a big...
They do. They absolutely do. You can use it through multiple ways. Think about it. Charlie knows this.
Nobody fucking knows. My gut tells me there's
They don't care. That's the reason why. They don't care.
No way advertisers would have any clue, because how would they? How would they do?
It would be super easy to tell. You can just look at the amount of click-through rate. You can compare it to other people. You can create a variable level. You can create standard deviations inside of that based off of prior performance. You can grade off of that. Then you can scale it up and extrapolate based off of viewer numbers. You can compare it to different platforms. You can look at different types of links and then see where those link click-through rates come from. You can then like reverse that through it's not geocaching, but like basically like finding out IP addresses and then seeing where those IP addresses are clicking from and see if they line up with the demographics that were sold to you, to see if there's an accuracy there. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, it's actually so easy.
Distinguish between authentic and real viewers through just a number plastered on a stream. It'd be entirely on Twitch to take care of the bots and get that number to be where it's like the authentic viewers and not just like, fraudulent ones. I don't see how they could ever possibly know what's real and what's fake.
Extremely easy to find out.
Based on just the public.
And Reed knows that, obviously. But like the fact is that a lot of companies, like Charlie's also right, that while I have methods of doing this, companies do not utilize these methods.
Available information, and I doubt Twitch is behind the scenes saying, okay, so your advertisement was played in front of 1 million concurrent viewers over the course of this campaign. Of that, about 15K were real human beings. We really appreciate your business.
You can absolutely do that, because if you go through 50 different use cases, you will probably have different ratios and different variables for view botting, right? And for click-through rates. So because you have any sort of frame of reference through clicks or interactions, you can use that to reverse engineer engagement rates and then build a model off of that as to whether somebody is acting in good faith versus bad faith. That's the main thing you can do.
Like, I highly doubt that fucking happens, right? Like, it doesn't happen on a streamer basis with like, sponsors either.
This is literally statistics 1 in not high school, it's in college, right? Maybe statistics 2.
So, like, if a streamer is botting his stream up to, like, 5K, but really he only has, like, 1,000 real viewers there, and he works with a brand, and he sells to this brand at the 5K concurrent viewers...
Yes.
He's making a lot of extra money versus if he sold at his real 1K.
Yeah, and he's scamming. He's engaging in wire fraud. It's undeniable. If he goes to court for that and they find out that he was doing it knowingly and that he view-botted himself, he would guaranteed lose the case. There hasn't been a case like that. Hopefully there is one soon.
And now the brand gets put in front of what they believe is 5,000 people, but is actually 4,000 bots with only 1,000 real people there. So maybe the campaign only sees them make like 3 fucking sales. Like, man, Perry Poutine Gotcha Game only got 3 clicks through this guy's stream, even though he has 5K concurrent viewers. What's going on here? And then you can maybe speculate and surmise that, okay, he's botting. But then you'd also never really know for sure, because you could also say, like, okay, maybe his community's just not interested in this gotcha game. These brands, I don't think...
You can easily figure that out, and there are also... Certainty never reaches 100%, but it approaches 100%. And the certainty of that can approach 100%, although it will never reach 100%.
Have any idea, is the point I'm making. I don't see how they would. It's entirely on Twitch to combat the bots, and I don't think there's a way or a tool that these brands have access to that normal people don't that lets them see real versus fake viewers. And then to Reed's second question about why does Twitch not crack down on it, I think everyone knows, because Twitch also benefits from these hugely inflated numbers. They see a lot of upside to these massive numbers being housed on Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's pretty clear. Probably don't need to dive any deeper on that. Yeah. And it is something that he starts to tackle in his next section here about platforms needing to take action. He goes on to talk about, how prevalent the botting problem is, as well as the reluctance from platforms to act on it, believing that the more views there are, the better things look for advertisers, which many people agree with. And again, that probably is
well, it's also, here's another factor, is that advertisers, so botted views regularly do not get viewership, right? They don't really get a lot of viewership, and like they don't see the ads. And I think that's basically it. Give me 1 second if I can find this. I got to use the bathroom, then I'll be right back. And but yeah, I think that's the real reason. It's because the bots don't actually see the ads, so it just looks good on a metrics database. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Let us continue.
Simple truth of it. If these numbers are huge, the platforms are probably very happy because then it's more appealing to advertisers. It could end up with more money to the platform itself. I think it really is that simple. Now, it's this section that ties directly into the eye-catching title that he used here for this piece. If everyone else is doing it, should you? I would never explicitly say you should bot your views on Twitch other than in the title of this article. But the reality is, if you're not view botting and everyone else is, you're at a disadvantage.
Yep.
When you're competing in a category where you're buried if you don't have...
This is why I quit doing RBGs, by the way, back in the day in Mists of Pandaria, is that every time that I would queue into an RBG, one person would get knocked offline from DDoSing, every Warlock would be using a rotation bot, every melee would be using a kick bot, and every caster or every healer would be using a cast bot so they can't get interrupted for casting. So everybody's cheating. RBGs are rated battlegrounds. It was in World of Warcraft. Like, everybody was cheating. And I was like, okay, if I want to perform at a high level, I have to cheat. And I just quit. I don't want to cheat. It's just retarded.
500 plus viewers, maybe shifting your strategy to paying clippers and buying bots helps a streamer break through. I wanted to see what it would cost to bot a stream, and for $180 a week on ViewBotter, I can get 1,500 followers, 225 chatters, and 750 concurrent viewers. Not bad for less than $800 a month, and these companies accept crypto payments.
Of course they do.
So he's saying that he's not actively advocating for view botting your channel, but if you're not, well, you got your own dick in your butt. Like everyone around you is doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe you should shift your strategy.
That's right.
I don't know. To me, that feels like he is advocating for it. Maybe I'm on the crack pipe. He's pointing out a real problem, that these platforms don't enforce it, so the precedent has been set that there's no...
Well, I think he's acknowledging a logical conclusion that if people don't... If view botting is rewarded, behavior follows incentives. Behavior, view botting. Incentive, channel growth. If you view bot, you grow your channel. If that's the case, then people will continue view botting. That's it. Bottom line. End of conversation. There's no philosophy on this. There's no ideology on this. There's no ethics on this. There's no morality in this. End of conversation.
Actual consequences. But it does seem like he's saying... you really should view bot your streams if you want to succeed. And he does prop it up as a legitimate strategy and even insinuates that it's not like super expensive, you know, saying, you know, not bad for less than $800 a month. Look at this huge head start you can get.
Exactly.
Really should be something to consider. And like, I get it. It is something that people obviously consider and pull the trigger on, no doubt. But it's not exactly something that I think should be encouraged either. It sucks.
People should not view bot. Anybody doing it should get banned.
So like that, it is a bad practice.
Absolutely.
And there's a reason why this is such a big topic, because people don't like view botters. It's not something that I think
nobody
should
likes
be talked about in a manner that feels like it's positive and encouraging, and even setting it up as like maybe even your only option if you want to stand out, because as Reed said multiple times, good content isn't good enough. You got to really consider distribution, and distribution view bots can really do wonders for. I don't know.
They do. They accelerate outcomes. That's a huge problem. Is Post clearly intended to light a fire under Twitch by accelerating the trajectory of botting? Yeah, I know. I know that he's... Listen, yes, it's accelerationism. Absolutely.
To me, it just rubs me the wrong way. He then closes by...
The main problem, fundamentally, is actually not view botting. The main problem is actually the Twitch aggregations, the Twitch aggregation method, and the way that view botting and viewership is the main variable to discoverability. That's the reason why Twitch has such a huge problem with viewbotting, and other platforms comparatively have much a smaller problem with viewbotting, like YouTube, for example. Not only does YouTube have better tools and analytics to predict and protect from viewbotting, but on top of that, they also don't have a system that rewards it in the same way that Twitch does.
Talking about viewbot detection and how Twitch CEO mentioned it's a game of cat and mouse, and that really there's not a whole lot of like great information that he could find on how brands can detect viewbots or anything like that. And then he finishes the big takeaway. We've entered an era where good content alone isn't enough. Distribution tactics are. When clipping, paid amplification...
I do think good content is enough, by the way. I disagree with that. I think that great streamers, great content creators will succeed regardless of how many clippers they're paying and how many viewbots they have. They will still succeed. It might take longer, but that success will still be realized. And there will be a person next year, we don't know their name today, but next year who believes this, and we'll know their name next year.
And even bots can artificially push you up the rankings. The playing field starts to tilt toward whoever is willing to game it. Twitch's detection tools feel reactive at best, and advertisers don't seem to have a reliable way to verify what's real. If botting becomes normalized, creators face a brutal question. Compete clean and risk invisibility, or bend the rules to survive. Long term, though, this erodes trust in the entire ecosystem. Again, he drives that point home about good content alone isn't enough. It's all about distribution tactics, and I just firmly disagree. Good content alone is sometimes enough. But again, it does take luck. It does. It always has, and it always will. Distribution tactics, though, he's right, can be...
distribution tactics sometimes are the luck manifesting itself.
Gamified and boost your shit and immediately give you a better chance, so you're not overly reliant on luck. If you'd rather focus instead on pay-to-win mechanics through, like, clippers and viewbots and stuff like that, then you would be entering the Thunderdome competing head-to-head, toe-to-toe with countless others who are doing that daily. That is very, very common. And in many, many cases, it's hard to tell if it's real or fake. So it is a legitimate problem, and it sucks that platforms don't do anything about it. He's not wrong about the core. That there is a huge problem because these platforms don't crack down on viewbots. Now everyone fucking does it seems.
That's right.
And it fucking blows. And I imagine he's right that it is a very real consideration for tons of streamers. Like, well, why would I even bother?
I talked to a lot of streamers that have openly considered viewbotting. Now, I'm not saying that they did it, but they've openly considered it because it made them mad because they thought another streamer was viewbotting that they were competitive against. And so they were like, well, why the fuck are they doing it and I'm not doing it? I'm stupid. I should start doing it. I need to do it because if they're doing it, then I need to do it. Like, that's exactly it.
Trying to do this legitimately.
No names, and most of the names that people guess will be wrong. But I'm just saying that this is a very common sentiment that streamers have privately. It is. It's a very common sentiment, and it's a lot larger than you might imagine.
When everyone else is fucking cheating, everyone else is viewbotting, so why wouldn't I? And it's hard to argue like because it's morally correct.
You're right. It was McConnell.
To play fair. It would be hard to make someone be like, okay, then I'll do that and go nowhere unless I get fucking crazy lucky. When the alternative is apparently like cheap viewbots that give them a better chance. It's something that he's not wrong about in his assessment here. Again, I just find it weird that it feels like he's speaking on it like almost positively, like you're at a huge disadvantage, you really need to think about this. The strategy that actually isn't all that expensive if you want to compete on an even playing field. Because at the end of the day, I don't think viewbots are something that should be encouraged. I don't think it should be twisted to the point where people consider viewbots like a strategy as opposed to just cheating. Because
it's literally cheating is a strategy. What do you mean? Like that's the strategy. Like cheating is that is the strategy. Like I mean, so you have a lot of different strategies, right? One of them is work hard. The other one is strategize well. And there's another strategy that's like rig it in another way, right? Make friends with people, engage in nepotism, get front page, try to get other advantages, and then you also have the good old fashioned. You just fucking cheat.
Viewbots are bad for everyone. There's a reason why it's such a passionate topic for so many people. Because it sucks. it sucks for the people that aren't doing it, and it sucks for viewers too. Like, viewbots are just shitty overall, like, genuinely. So, like, it's not something that I'd like to see more people start being like, yeah, let's start really thinking about doing more viewbotting.
Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but a lot of streamers have already been doing this.
There's not already enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, this was a very interesting post, to say the least, and I just wanted to yap about it. That's really about it. See ya.
Yeah, I feel like that's where things are going, and you're going to see more and more people viewbotting, faking engagement, and other forms of dishonest behavior in order to gain an advantage in an incredibly difficult and incredibly comprehensive and challenging market. That's just what happens. The more that people get competitive, I'll link you guys a video. It's a Charlie video. Give it a like. I think it's really good, and that's the way that I feel about it. The time of the streamer is ending. Investors need to see ROI. Well, I don't know about that, and the precise values, the precise value of audiences is going to be measured. It already has been. So I've seen this happen overall. Is that what happened is, like, in 2018 and 19, you started to see way more sponsorships. And in 2020, you saw it hit like an apex, right? And now it's in that recalibration phase where companies are now more familiar with the advertising space. They have more data that they can go off of, and they have more information that they can use to base their decisions on. And sales now has gone down. I think that sales, like the amount of money streamers make, etc., it does go down. And I think that's really what kind of happens in most cases, is that you have a lot of these, people, they come in at the beginning, they, throw money around, they realize they're not getting the money back, and then they recalibrate after that. I think that's what makes sense. So yeah, mainstream stuff peaked at Ninja. It did not, actually. It peaked during COVID. As somebody who's familiar with these payments and how much money people are making, it peaked during COVID. So yeah, that's what happened. And I find it to be disappointing, but there you go. And anyway, I'll link you guys the video again. And I did also want to say, advertisers take a percentage of bots into consideration when they do deals. I think that they probably do to an extent, but it depends on the advertiser and it depends on the deal, right? I think that's more than anything else. Okay.